Well, chaps, it's the late 90s, or at least sort of the middle part of the 90s, and James Bond's powering on at a rate of knots. Tomorrow Never Dies in some respects was rushed out after GoldenEye. A rare case, as far as it goes in the past 30 years, of a Bond film coming out 2 years after the previous, like they did all the way through to License to Kill. The end product is intriguing. It's almost a tale of two halves, really. The moment Bond leaves Hamburg, it becomes a different film almost. It's not the worst Bond film. It's not the best, but it has its moments, as is typical. You got the whole pre-title sequence, which is incredible in its way. The whole arms bazaar. How Bond comes to the fore. You know, you keep getting these messages back to the Ministry of Defence saying. You don't hear the other side of it, but old Colin Salmon's going, no, you will do what you're told, basically. And then next thing you know, Bond appears, and there's that shot of him blazing away, and the music. And indeed, this is the first of 5 David Arnold scores. And what Arnold does compared to Eric Serra is bring in the Bond theme. Some say it's overused, but it works in the film as best as it can. And it has a sound, it has a unique sound to Tomorrow Never Dies. I don't think the techno stuff is that comes in, well, there's not enough really. But all in a day's work, tricky spot for 007, the bike chase music, the pre-title music, the White Knight track. Yeah, it has its moments, and indeed there's something about that shot in when the Chester is sinking. It gets all like, there's a splash of crier, and the crew all sort of lit ghostly. And that's something else that I like about the film. Is the Royal Navy presence. Not since Thunderball, when HMS Rothsay was going hell for leather to get the Disco Volante, has the Royal Navy been used to such effect. Yes, alright, they're in the Spy Who Loved Me, and I think that's it, Spy Who Loved Me really. But Bond, you get HMS Chester, the first British ship sunk probably since the Falklands. And that is incredible scene in the way that the drill hits and there's tension and the Chinese are flying overhead. And then towards the end of the film, HMS Bedford. And both ships are fictional names, and they're both played by HMS Westminster. And curiously, the shot of the Chester launching her missile on the pre-title... I'm getting confused now. Sorry, there's 3 ships, isn't there? The Devonshire is the one that sinks, because the pre-title sequence is the Chester. I wish I could say it's been a long day, but there you go. So anyway, the shot of the chest in the pre-title sequence launched in its missile gets reused in at least Dine Off a Day. And I want to say one of the Craig films. I'm sure it's in one of them. And then you got HMS Devonshire, getting sunk. And then HMS Bedford at the end. And HMS Bedford does things the old-fashioned way. And there's something about the Royal Navy coming to the rescue. That's very Connery-esque. And that's another thing, is that for the film's faults, it's the fact it's Britain that seems to be mostly in the thick of it. Like in Die Another Day, it's basically the Americans and South Korea that are threatened, and of course the world after that. There's a global perspective to the world is not enough, maybe. Whereas in Tomorrow Never Dies, basically the British have lost a ship, the Chinese have lost 2 fighters, they both blaming the other side, and we're apparently sending the fleet to Hong Kong, or whatever, so... Where the fleet comes from, I have no idea. We haven't got any naval bases that far east anymore after the whole East of Aden thing. So... Well, it might have come from Hong Kong, I mean, it depends which side of the handover. No, it wouldn't. That's the way my mind works, unfortunately. But it's good to see the Royal Navy in action in terms that Bond also is in uniform, so that's Connery, Moore and Brosnan. And that's another, and the other aspect, of course, is the fact that China is more or less sort of like the bad guy, so to speak, now, rather than Russia. It's a quick film compared to previous Bonds. It's the first Bond film, I think, since You Only Live Twice to be under 2... Oh, no. Either You Only Live Twice or Diamonds Are Forever, that's under 2 hours. So you got the Peter... The song is forgettable, sadly. Should have gone with Surrender, which is on the end titles. The German locations are quite good. The Vietnam set scenes are intriguing, the way they make it anyway. Ray Lin is a fantastic character. Bond's equal in every sense, and ideologically, I can never say that word, different to Bond, but they're both doing the same job. So she's Brosnan's triple X with a better accent. Bond himself, Brosnan is literally filling himself into the role, so he's getting there. The scene with Paris in the hotel room alive and then Paris dead are some of Brosnan's most moving moments, and the music probably helps with the kissing and smooching and the dress dropping. And indeed, Terry Hatcher, for her fault, she doesn't do a bad job, really. She does what she can, as she can. And, back then she was a proper sex symbol. I mean, this was still when New Adventures of Superman was carrying on. And that leaves you Carver, one of the most colourful villains, and in a way a realistic one. Though it's a bit far-fetched perhaps for a newspaper mogul or media mogul to be on a stealth sea cat masterminding the Third World War. It's plausible in the world of Bond. I mean, admittedly, he would be there, covering it first hand, but he's nonetheless there. The death is fantastic payoff. Give the first of all to mass media, give the people what they want. The kung fu bit's a bit cringeworthy, and yeah, it works. So Tomorrow Never Dies one thing. It has some fantastic action pieces, like in the newspaper factory or in the newspaper warehouse. The remote control driving of the car is innovative, really. Technology has finally caught up with 007, and the payoff works. Although how the Royal Navy in 1997 couldn't spot heat signatures on a piece of debris in the South China Sea, I'll never know. But then the Royal Navy has budget cuts. There you go. So we'll do Tomorrow Never. The World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day Tomorrow, which means that the Pierce Brosnan era is even shorter than Timothy Dalton's, if I can do it in 2 days anyway. And then that will leave us the Craig films. And I won't be able to do No Time to Die. Maybe we should start a firewall campaign so I can. Anyway, as Tomorrow Never Dies. 2 films of the era down. 2 films to go.